Welcome. This is the August 19, 2026 Estes Park School District R3 Board of Education regular meeting. It is now 6:30 p.m. and this meeting is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, please conduct a board roll call.
Director Furry,
Here.
Director Roberts,
Here.
Director Shockett,
Here.
Director Wederski,
Here.
Director Wiss. Here.
Moving on to approval of the agenda. Board members have an agenda before you. At this time, I'll take any comments or amendments to the current agenda. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the current agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second.
We have a motion and second. Chris, please conduct a board roll call.
Director Furry,
Aye.
Director Roberts,
Aye.
Director Shockett,
Aye.
Director Wederski,
Aye.
Director Wiss. Aye.
Ayes carry the vote. Agenda is approved. Before moving on to the next item, I'd like to welcome Superintendent David Grubbs. This is his first meeting, so looking forward to a great year. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. I'm learning the ropes.
Moving on to agenda item 2, public participation. We had no members of the community sign up to speak this evening. Moving on to agenda item 3, discussion item, agenda item 3.1, fourth quarter financials by Brian Lund, Director of Business Services. Brian.
All right, good evening. So in the packet is the financials through June 30 as of last Friday. There's still some major outstanding items. That's why like revenue's only shown at 95%. I still need to accrue back 60 days worth of property tax collections back to last year. So once we get our reports for property taxes collected in Boulder and Number County through the end of August, I get those reports, then I can post those. So that revenue's not reflected in there. We also are waiting. We just got confirmation this afternoon that we're going to get our 6E funding for last year. We're still waiting on that for, we get some reimbursement for preschool and then also summer school at the elementary school. So we should hopefully be getting that next week or the week after. So that's not reflected in the revenue. But the big one that's not reflected is the para payment on behalf of. So the state at the end of every year, if they have revenue, they post it into para on behalf of school districts and other entities that put into that, so that we don't have to increase our contributions. That has not, I have not seen it. Last time I went out there last week, they still hadn't posted what the dollar amount was, if any, for last year. So a couple years ago, we didn't budget enough and we overextended or overspent what was appropriated, just because we have to recognize the revenue and the expense, because technically it's our money, even though we never see it. So that's why we budgeted $500,000 just because it was $500,000 that year and it bit us and we got in trouble. But it's typically about 100 to 200,000, but we budget that higher number just in case. So then that way we have the room to recognize it, depending if they have that big of a year. So that's kind of where the revenue stands. Then expenses, those are pretty much done. There's still some random invoices coming in. We got an invoice last week that was dated 6/30 and we got it sent to us last week. So we still have some of those. And then there's some other revenues for facility uses and those types of things that are still trickling in that will backdate. In Fund 22, we also have some revenue that we have not received because we accrued back expenses for July, and they're just processing those invoices now on the state side, so then we'll be getting those. But those are kind of the big outliers for some of the discrepancies that you see within those numbers, like especially if you see why are we half a million short in state revenue. It's because that para payment on behalf is recognized as a state contribution. But we got all of our other revenue associated with all the state funding. Such as co-op and those types of things for Boys and Girls Club, and high cost reimbursement, those things. You can see capital We did have some expenditures in June. We did a phone system upgrade. Once everything was on site, we did the final payment and we got everything installed. And then preschool the playground was resurfaced. We extended that surface, so now there's no dirt. It's all soft surface for the preschool playground. So in theory, there shouldn't be rocks for them to be out there to play with and stuff, but you never know. One might roll in there. And then right at the end of the year, we did purchase a school bus and a white fleet, a Suburban. And that was, we just needed, our fleet is getting older in the school bus side, and then with increased transportation for secondary, we needed a white fleet. So that's what those are. And then you can also see in June, we did make a interest payment on outstanding bond principal. And that's all budgeted and known for the next 5 years now. So we'll be done in 5 years. It's the 07 bonds. So that's everything as of, like I said, last Friday. And then the final numbers will be presented to the board in December once the audit is complete and submitted to the state. So any questions?
So you talked a little bit about how the revenue 95% is going to creep up closer to 100%.
Mm-hmm.
What about the expenses? On the page is 92%. Several got real close, right?
Yep.
97% spent. A few are over, and
Yep.
one is under. So like for the few over, is there a
That is tied to the retention incentive. We recognized it within
each school?
within each school and tied it to the
And-
building, and we didn't pull the contingency that covered it, which lives in that centralized services.
Okay.
So that's why centralized services is down, because that contingency number I didn't reallocate from centralized services to the buildings to offset that
Okay.
on the budget side.
So you may be answering my next question of in centralized services, there was other objects for 800K. Is that the retention bonus? That's why that one was way under, and
Yeah.
each school is some are
Yeah.
over.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And I can go back and reallocate to get those to line up with the actual expenditures. It's just I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
But that's why centralized services is over, because contingency is that big number.
Okay.
And then some of them are also down a little bit too, just because utilities were down last year and some of those types of things, just because we had a warm winter.
So if the retention bonus is in there, that's what's causing the middle school to be over,
Mm-hmm.
but the elementary and high school would have been then farther under their budget
Yes.
without
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yep.
So is there an adjustment for this year? Is there like a lesson learned here where either the budgets need to be adjusted or the principals need to know they actually could have spent a little more? They had
Yeah.
more budget that they didn't use.
Yeah, and like elementary school, she's gone back. I mean, she had stuff ordered, it just didn't show up. So I mean, so there's some of those types
Just
of things.
timing offset. Okay.
With some of those types of things, because there was a lot of top field things that were purchased, but like we still haven't received our shed. You know, some of those types of things as well.
Okay.
It's just because of, timing and those types of things.
All right. Are we going to talk about any of the other documents, or just now is the time for all of the different attachments?
Yeah. Go for
What,
it.
there's another one that showed a change in fund balance of plus 480,000. Just trying to understand that. Did we, again, not on this page we're sharing on screen, but
Is it that one? It's not. How do I zoom?
well, it is in the change in net assets there. It is shown, but in the summary, yeah. Change in fund balance plus 480,000 is
Yep.
the way I read it.
Yep.
So just trying to understand that. Is it at the end, we think we're going to have an extra 480,000?
Yeah.
Or-
So it would be an increase in fund balance. This is the general fund.
Okay.
So, and that, yeah. So we're running, we didn't expend all of the money that was brought in, correct?
Okay. Understood. So this is the second, third, maybe even fourth year in a row we've done that.
Yeah.
Meaning we have not spent all our money. So
Yeah.
our fund balance is very healthy.
Yep.
We need to keep that in
typically we
consideration.
run about 98% usage.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be very rare to be actually at 100%,
Okay.
just because, but we cannot go over for sure, because then we get in trouble without board approval to use the fund balance.
Okay.
So, yep.
Okay.
And then kind of talking on the fund balance side too, if we go down to Fund 43, what's in there right now is less than what was approved because because of the timing of projects and those types of things. Because in the resolution for the preliminary budget was use fund balance up to 1.25 million. But now that we know this number's smaller, we can adjust those expenditures to not go over the 844,000. Even though it won't be reflected until the mid-year budget resolution, but we know that for sure now, so we can not expend the funds up to that 1.25. So that's another adjustment we'll make, knowing it'll be adjusted at mid-year. Okay.
So, yeah, so I think what I'm hearing then is for last school year's budget, we saved, we had an additional almost 500,000 left at the end of the year.
The 480.
The 480,
Yep.
yes. We had that amount left. So from you guys' perspective, is there a good use of that money? Is there a project we want to work on in this school year where maybe we do want to use up that amount that we saved last year? Again, our
Yep.
fund balance is very healthy
Yep.
right now. So it's not like we need to be adding to it necessarily if
Yep.
we have a good use for that money.
Yep. And
Okay.
like in the past, what we would do, or the board, at the direction of the board, was maintain a set dollar amount and then spend down and use fund balance for capital projects and those types of things. Deferred maintenance. The first time we did that was when we went 1-to-1 with iPads. We bought them all outright. We didn't lease them. So we used fund balance to buy them. So that's when we started that trend of maintaining a dollar amount, and then we do a spend down at mid-year. And that's something we can, if the board wants us to, we can look at and bring to finance committee and go that route too. So if there's a number that you think as a board you would like us to maintain.
Yeah, I know when we've talked about this in finance before, we're at about 5 million.
Yeah.
Rounding there. So does this make it 5.5?
Yep.
Okay. So that is a very healthy number. Probably more like 3. We do not want to go below.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
at 3. So that's what I'm saying is we're not at 3 anymore. We've actually done some good saving over the last few years. We're far above that. So
Yep.
is there something that is a good use of that money now? Just gets more expensive every year,
Yep.
right? To
Yep.
do the next capital project, right?
Yeah.
We did
Cherry
we
pick
did-
something off the capital list.
Exactly. Yeah. We finished the stadium. We finished the locker rooms.
Yep. Or
What's
is
next?
there
What's next?
is there a handlers that need to be replaced? Is there
Great.
yeah,
Yeah.
those types of things. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. And the state doesn't want you to have a fund balance lower than 25% of your operating expenditures, or 20% of your budgeted operating expenditures. You get dinged on that side of it too. When we report.
Okay. And our expenses are 18 million, so 3.6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're 2 million above that.
Yep. And the state kind of wants a healthier one too, because that's what we use to reduce what we borrow in the no interest loan program, but that's beside the point. So we are getting a little bit high in the fund balance.
Then Brian, with the proposed, I think it's going to be Prop NN maybe coming up in November.
Hmm.
How's that going to impact us? Do we know that yet?
I haven't seen solid numbers because the state only sends out numbers if it's actually approved and it's a law they have to follow. I know there's been some things out there that we would get a couple 100,000 more in revenue. We wouldn't get it from the state because we collect property taxes higher than what the program number states. If that's the number they're throwing out there, it would just increase our program number. We wouldn't get more revenue. It's because we're in the weird boat where our pot's our pot. So whatever our assessed value is and what we assess for mills, that's what we get. So I think last time we ran the numbers is about 100 more students would have to come in before we started getting state funding. So our revenue is going to stay pretty consistent. The program number will go down just because of the averaging, and that's based off your student count. But our total revenue we collect with our 20.549 mills is going to stay pretty consistent unless there's an adjustment within the assessed values. So when they say there's going to be an increase in funding for all schools, it's just going to change how it's classified within the property tax revenue we collect. We're not going to get more in revenue. We're going to get the same amount. The only way it's going to change is if there's additions to the tax rolls and those types of things.
Thank you.
Yep. I'll do a quick PSA. Parking lots will be closed in the mornings this weekend for painting. So, yeah.
Thanks, Brian. Moving on to agenda item 3.2, superintendent report, Superintendent Grubbs.
All right, well, since your last formal meeting, some of the things I have to share are the facilities update. As Brian mentioned, parking lots will be painted, the stripes, because of the repair work we did over the summer. There was a lot of repair to the irrigation system, soil mitigation, both top field and football and soccer field. I don't know if you've had a chance to swing by there yet, but it did bounce back pretty good. Great work on behalf of the crew working on that. The renovation to the locker rooms to meet ADA compliance was completed over the summer. Again, as you already heard, the preschool recess completed so that project is done. There were some quick blinds. Eric had a chance to demonstrate those. So if you picture being in the classrooms, there's a window that looks out into the hallway. Every window now has a rolled up blind that the teacher just pulls a Velcro strip and it's weighted, so it just drops down. So in the event of a lockdown drill, they're able to create that barrier of vision right away. The Prox card system is in place. They've worked out most of the kinks. I think there's still maybe one or two off cards. Mine was still associated with Ruby, so mine was not working until yesterday, but again, Eric got that squared away. And then again, the purchase of a few other, the route bus, the white fleets, and then we added a 10-foot plow and a sand bed to one of the trucks. So hopefully the snow comes this winter and we'll get to use that. The vape sensors that are in the high school, there's just some waiting on the system to be updated so that's working effectively. Current projects coming up will include high school HVAC, sprinkler system, install at the high school kitchen, and then the phone, they're called A phones. So when you go to buzz in and the secretary can identify you, those are still kind of in progress. If you remember, there was an update to the camera system. The company did a check on compatibility before we purchased, but then when it was actually connected, those old cameras were overheating. And so they felt badly about it not being up to snuff right away. And so they sold us new cameras basically at cost. So we saved 50% on those. So although we had to spend some, we're getting a ton of new cameras that will be high quality and be a great long-term investment. When it comes to family and community engagement, our long-range planning committee, they've been given some more information, or will be given some more information basically on the pros and cons of different placement of our sixth graders. So in Colorado, at the elementary, you get licensed for K to 6, and at the secondary level, you get licensed from 6 to 12. So our sixth graders can be kind of in the middle. And so as you know, coming up, you're going to get a presentation from that committee about long-range planning. I really want to have some research done ahead of time to help make that final decision as to where our sixth graders go. So that's coming up. We hosted a guest teacher discovery day in late July. This is basically an event to inform any new substitute teachers that might be interested in working in our district and or kind of reacclimate some of our returners. I think we only had maybe one returner. The rest were all new, so it was great to have some new folks come in. And then one of those individuals gave me some feedback later on how to even improve that. So as far as focus areas and highlights, our achievement data, all of us are actually chomping at the bit to get the final information. It was supposed to even come out today. When I talked to Andrea Sporletter around 2:30, we hadn't got it yet. So I don't know if you had heard the state had migrated their system, their database to a totally different system. So there were several key components that were on hold longer than normal, and my hunch is that this is one of them. So as soon as that data is out of embargo, I'll share how our Bobcats did last year. Also, CDE accreditation ratings, that will all come out in the September meeting. And then when it comes to our demonstration of learning through real world experiences, I just want to do a quick highlight of our CTE program. TJ Apple and Steve Schaff, those are two teachers that I was standing in line with the new, the welcome back. We're getting ready to have our picture taken. When those gentlemen talk about that program, like there is a passion there for helping kids with like real world life skills. And so they're not just teaching a content, they're teaching things that are truly going to prepare any human being, whether they're college-ready students or someone that wants to go into the field of automotive mechanics, something like that. So we're going to definitely be learning more about those guys in the future, and hopefully even get you a tour to the CTE program and see what they're doing. So last but not least, just a big shout out to each of you directors for the warm welcome, the all staff breakfast for showing up and helping out with that, and just getting the school year kicked off right. As a newcomer, I can't be more happy. So thank you. That concludes my superintendent's report.
Any questions?
I have a couple.
When do I turn?
First of all, I'm wondering on the vape sensors. This has been ongoing for quite a long time. And I'm just wondering, do we pay a subscription to that company, or is it like something we purchased and like, I don't know.
I'll have to do some homework on that. I do know that they were up and running for a bit. And then again, when we had an improved system, they're not talking. So Brian, you have, facts?
I think we just bought them, and then there's not an annual subscription. I think the issue is the firmware side of it's not operating properly. I did get an offer from a competitor last week to get a free one to test. I sent that to Eric. I don't know if he reached out to them or not. So there's other on the market if we keep having issues with the current ones that we could look at switching over to. But my recollection is we just bought them outright, and then it's just a supported service once we have it.
Excellent. Thank you. I just want to make sure that we aren't paying for something that isn't functioning. Yeah. And then also, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on that. It was the complaints that came to us from parents were not regarding it didn't come from a perspective of like a punitive nature. It came from students who aren't vaping are being disrupted by the vaping. So I just wanted to give you that background on why we've been talking about that so much, and that, we want to help students more than we want to, hurt them. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. I had heard one of the focal points was education and helping the kids make better choices versus punishing them for breaking a rule. So it's good to hear that reinforced. I know talking with Officer Paul, like that's a big element of providing education versus a punishment. So
And then the other question that I had is on the sixth grader placement, kind of a hot topic. I'm wondering if there's going to be any parent outreach or if, I mean, I don't know. Who makes these decisions?
yeah, I've already learned the importance of stakeholder input. One of my first recommendations was the group that worked on the actual physical configurations get presented with some facts because they didn't come to a decision during that. And so one of my goals is go visit some schools and talk to those district leaders who have made a decision to go 612 most recently and iron out the pros and cons of that to be presented, because you're right, no matter who you talk to, you might get a different rationale. And so it needs to be what's good for the kids, what's going to be good for the long-term system as well, comparing what our current sixth graders have the opportunity to do right now. How would that be impacted either negatively or positively with the move? Because they don't get their own building. So, yeah.
And then I might just want to recommend, I know sometimes the last superintendent would submit articles to EP News, and that might be a great subject, like after you complete all of your research and why you found whatever is best for the kids and why, to kind of explain that to the community, I think would be really useful. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and Brenda asked one of my questions, the sixth grade placement, and I guess I was curious, what is the timing of having to make that decision on where they go?
Well, again, I think it might depend on who you ask and when you ask it. My perspective is, knowing it is a hot topic, the more you can make the decision sooner and then let people air their worries and address those concerns, I think the better way down the road. But again, we're not even going to present the plan until the October work session to go in that regard. So the design team is making a few adjustments just based on today's conversation even. But yeah, I want people to have that voice. And at the same time, if they have concerns and we can address those concerns proactively too, then it makes the decision sooner, and then we move forward in a healthy way to get the building built and do whatever we got to do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the research being done for that, and I think it will be important to kind of get that stakeholder input on that process. I also just want to give a kudos for all the projects that were done over the summer. I've heard a lot of great things from students and staff on Topfield, especially the new benches, the new equipment. So I think those were some well worth it, and a lot of kids really excited about those improvements. So that's great. And I also just want to comment, I think the all-staff welcome breakfast was really great, a lot of great energy. Good to see so many teachers back this year, which I think is fun. And so, yeah, excited for the year ahead.
And just a quick note on the top field. I happened to see TJ over the summer, and he was telling me about what the work that they had done, that the soil on top field was essentially 9 inches of rock. So they're like surprised grass grew there at all. And that's been fixed. We actually have soil. We actually have where grass can actually thrive. Exactly. So I think top field's going to be a whole new ball game from all the work that's been done there.
Nice fun.
Yeah.
Yep, that concludes my report. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3.3, administrative reports. Normally our principals come, Ms. Miller, Ms. Greenway, but tonight they had an event at the school. So Superintendent Krebs is going to give all the reports, including Nolan's. If you just want to summarize those, I'll say all of those reports are also attached on the agenda and will be on the meeting minutes as well.
Yep. So this might be where my principal heart for the last 20 years has influenced my judgment to let those administrators off the hook after a very long day, and then they had their extra event afterwards. But from the elementary, what Ms. Miller has shared with me, they do a Golden Globe Award where staff nominate one another. Steph Hart had honored Emily Jurgens so far this year. They had a team bonding school staff event at go-karts and mini golf. And so, to my knowledge, no one was injured or lost any money on that racetrack. And then, of course, the meet and greet was a section of 2 different days where families came in before school got going. I think that eased a lot of nerves. So I'm not sure of the history of that, but I do feel like it got some positive feedback this year. The dates of, picture day and their barbecue, the first books and breakfast, that's all stated in her report. When it comes to the academic and achievement growth, again, they did some work as a group back in July, and so they're eager to see how those ideas take off. Very excited about the purchase of their new Otis system that works with Bridges. Should just be able to make electronic testing easier for them. Bridges didn't come with that element, and this is basically a supplement to it. And then, of course, the flooding model that we talked about in a work session at one time is already underway, which is faster than what I even experienced as a principal. So I give them some kudos for getting that going. When it comes to the real world learning, things they talked about this year, just ramping up projects from the past, using the arts and letters ELA modules. On September 11th, they head to Longs Peak Scottish Irish Festival. So I'm very curious as a newcomer to see how that is after watching all of our Scottish friends come to World Cup. Hopefully it's not quite as entertaining, but in a different way. And then as far as wellness goes, they continue to fine tune the MTSS process. That's a big focal point, and I do think that makes a big difference in your school when you've got a good system in place. So I'm happy about that. And then the Bobcat Crew Connection. This is a proactive initiative that they're doing to just increase some of those global awareness things. So, and on a side note, it's not in here, but I get to be on the junior newscast tomorrow. So I'm excited to meet those kids and do that. So that is your elementary report. Any questions?
I just had a couple of things. First, shout out to Emily. I've seen firsthand the benefits of her great work in that flooding program. So glad to see her get some credit for that. I attended the meet and greets at the elementary. I think I've always taken those for granted because we've always had them, but one of mine was with one of our new teachers, and he had never had one, and really appreciated the opportunity to connect with students and parents one-on-one before the first day of school where everything's overwhelming. So it was great to kind of hear that from a teacher, because I think as a parent, I always just thought that was something that was done. So I think that's a great thing that we do, and great to hear that the teachers appreciate that as well. I did have a question on the Otis. I wasn't totally understanding what that was exactly. I know you said it sounds like it's something that was lacking in the Bridges program, but can you explain that a little more?
Yep. So it's basically another company that has taken Bridges material and made it accessible electronically. So kids take so many of their tests online. This gives them the opportunity to take a Bridges test also electronically. There are some pros and cons to it, like physically writing out Bridges. That's what we used in my previous school. So as a principal, I got to see teachers putting it to use. It's very conceptual. Like it helps kids understand why they use math for certain things versus just memorizing algorithms. But in doing that, there is a lot of sketching and drawing and manipulations. And so it doesn't always fit nicely into an electronic style. So this company is a third party that's taken on that opportunity. So kids are instructed via the Bridges model, and then when they take an assessment, they can actually do it online electronically versus just on paper. So it gives them gives them both.
Thank you for that. And then the Bobcat Connection crew, so that's new, and it sounds like we're piloting that for the first and fourth grade recesses. I was just curious, what was the impetus behind that, and kind of excited to see what comes from the piloting of that with those grades.
That's one Aaron and I haven't got to talk about yet, with me being out a couple days and yeah, her in the swing of other stuff, but I'll put that on my to-do list.
One more question on the math. Am I correct? I'm trying to remember. I think we're in year 2 of 2 for math curriculum adoption right now. So is this like a 1-year trial that's kind of supporting that curriculum adoption?
As far as I know, yes. I'm going to play my new guy card a couple more times here. But I will look into that because, yeah, we have used Bridges long enough, previous district where we're on like, edition 3. And so I don't know where you guys picked up with that, whether you're in 2 or 3, to be honest. So, but you're right. We don't want to invest too much in a program if we're going to switch gears totally and go with a different math program. So yeah, I do know Andrea Sportletter has a lot to do with that as well too, as our technology integration person. So I'll visit with both her and Aaron.
I also have a question about Otis. So we'll see how your principal heart feels about not letting the principals. It's a lot of detail. So I just am concerned about the students taking tests electronically. I know you said both, but I hope that that Aaron hears and that the teachers are aware that only I understand it gives them more time, but just having these kids be always on the electronics just I mean, it's proven that it's not good. So hopefully they will be implementing both forms of testing, and not just testing, but working. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
I can share in that settlement of always being on
Yeah.
an iPad and making sure that they can actually know how to use a pen and pencil and paper as well.
I mean, it's proven that your brain processes things differently whether you're typing it or whether you're writing it with a pencil, so it's just, we just need to make sure we're tickling all of those synapses.
Yeah, and I'll tack on to that because I agree. And I think especially, sorry, Erin's not here. She's very lucky tonight.
It's like, oh,
But I think with math especially, I mean, I have appreciated the Bridges and seeing the worksheets, and I've emphasized to my own kids of showing your work, and that's an important thing. And, that's the majority of math, not just that final answer. And so I think just making sure we keep that balance even with the introduction of Otis is going to be, we'll see how that plays out.
I know my son's teacher already talked about that too, that logging the answers in the computer helps them with the grading side, but he's going to require all work be shown on paper in addition, which kind of finds some of that balance where the grading and the official stuff can be fast, but we don't lose the pen and paper. So I think the teachers they're working on that, figuring out the balance, and hopefully they're going to share some lessons learned with each other.
Excellent.
Okay, from the secondary reports from Ms. Greenway, they are building off last year's motto, which was every minute matters. This year it's every moment matters. And I did get a chance to see her talk to both the middle school students and the high school students at their welcome back assembly. They talked about that theme and just taking advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you. They had their barbecue tonight. Again, as several of you got to see, both schools have done book fairs already. As far as homecoming week this year, it begins September 14th. And so the student council is already planning activities, power and powder puff games. I think the question of the day is, will the bonfire take place or not, based on the parking lot situation at Stanley Park, and honestly, just the safety of our community, and with it being such a dry year. So they might have a chance to be creative and celebrate a different way. So that's still on its way to be discovered. As far as the academic growth and achievement, both schools were wrapping up the NWEA and MAP testing today. I actually got to sit with a couple families today that were asking their kids how it went. They didn't roll their eyes too bad, so hopefully that showed they gave it a good go. Every Tuesday and Thursday will be their WIN advisory classes at the high school. At the middle school, WIN will also include student rotations for math and reading intervention, as well as our social emotional learning. They're talking about how the intervention classes in math and reading, as well as academic enrichment, are in both schools. They're using iReady Math and Read Naturally and Read Live for the curriculum. The freshman seminar this year, basically in reviewing their data over the last 2 years, the team decided that they just needed some more support in how to be scholars, how to stay organized, how to take ownership of their own learning. So it feels to me like the focus was very much on some of those global outcomes, but teaching them how. Like, it looks great on a poster that we want them to be creative, we want them to communicate, but this focus was actually teaching them how. And so eager to hear how that part goes. With real world learning, basically some focus on the roars. Again, it's not just for elementary, that we can expect our older kids to show that level of respect and ownership and attentiveness. I mentioned the CT courses. The high school is increasing the number of courses. Both the middle and the high school are going to work on the individual career and academic planning. That's the ICAP. That's something I'm, again, looking forward to learning more and more about as the elementary focused leader. And then Bobcat Go Days. I know we've talked about that a little bit previously, that those are kind of an extension of WIN, but really focused on the elements that are not as academic in nature. They're super important, and so we're setting aside time so it doesn't interrupt the other, but it will address those opportunities. When it comes to the wellness, she was excited to talk about the Panorama platform with Solera. It should improve some of the MTSS decision-making, because it's going to keep things more organized when it comes to evaluating the data. So that is a brief summary of the report she shared with me. Questions or comments?
So yeah, at the back to school night tonight, Sonia mentioned that today was the first Bobcat Go Day with the MAPS testing, so that was great. I'm also excited about the introduction of that freshman seminar this year, so look forward to feedback on how that goes. I was curious because I think in the report it looked like it was cut off, but it said there was new CTE course offerings, but I didn't see, it said include and then it dropped off. So I wasn't sure what those were. Do you know, David?
No, I don't have a list of those. I just know that something that Brian and I were talking about was a stipend for those teachers, and we needed to make sure that we had a scale for how many classes they were doing. And so I know the offerings are increasing, but I don't have the class names with me.
I think the other thing I noticed this year, just when one of the newsletters that came out, is the gifted and talented. It looks like this year we have site leads in each school, which I think that's new. And I think that's really great, and excited to kind of see Rachel have that help in each of the buildings and have that point of contact in that. So yeah, just good to see some of these improvements.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Go Days and the freshman seminar and the win time. And it sounds like a lot of unstructured time. And I just wonder, for the freshman seminar, is there a curriculum that we're using, or is it just kind of, okay, this is today's lesson and now you can work on your homework, and then nobody works on their homework, and the kids who get bored easily are frustrated, and the kids who need help are embarrassed that they need help. I don't know. I know a lot of kids have had those experiences with these kind of loosely structured times. So I hope that they sound great, right? But it all depends on how it's implemented. And so I just want to make sure that we're looking out for all of our students, like what I need now. If some kids need tutoring, well, let's make sure the kids that need challenges are also getting extra challenges and not just given free time or, things like that. So, and the same with the freshman seminar. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff that they could be taught, but they need to have a plan for what they're going to teach these kids for test taking skills and study skills. And this is how we do note cards, and everybody's gonna do them now, and not just like, okay, does that make sense? Sorry if I'm I'm a strict mom. I'm sorry, but I just feel like the kids need structure, and this is their time in school, and let's make sure every moment matters, right? Thank you.
Just Sonia earlier today, when she was explaining this, she kind of said, in the past, assemblies have always been disruptive. And the idea here is save these days. Don't do the assemblies disrupting all the other days. Save them for this go day so that all the rest of them remain on schedule in class, undisrupted. That's the idea behind it.
Good. So how often are the go days?
Once a month.
And there will always be something planned on the go day, so the go day isn't a loss either? Okay, awesome.
I think we've been through a lot of cycles on calling these days different things
Yeah.
over the years.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We keep changing it and
Yeah.
changing it and revamping it, right? Like reflecting and then revamping. So I think I can hear
Where that's coming from.
yeah, I hear that's where that's coming from. Just making sure we're dialed in, using the time wisely.
Yeah. I mean, we restructured the time schedule and the class requirements to prevent students from having so many free periods, right? So now it sounds like we're building free periods into their schedule. So let's try not to.
Yeah. Just making sure I get all my homework for next time. That's all I have from the secondary reports. Then if there's no other questions, I'll go into Nolan's athletic report. As soon as the Wi-Fi works. Chris jinxed it for me. I was going to print all these, but she said if the Wi-Fi goes down, the meeting is over. So yeah, do you have
Athletic
ones? Oh, here it came up. All right. All right. Boys golf. Oh, thanks. Look at that. Boys golf, we have 12 golfers registered. He's got them all named in there. A few teacher names I recognize last name. Boys soccer, that practice started August 10th, and there are 16 registered players for that. Team will then play at the Dick's Sporting Goods Park against Rocky Mountain Lutheran, August 27th. So that's coming up pretty soon. Cheer and dance has 10 athletes registered for that. They expect to have 12 during the winter season. Cross country practice is underway with 15 athletes registered for that. Yeah, we're hoping we can work out some kinks with our own Estes Park Invitational, because The golf course has traditionally been closed by October, and they are extending staying opening. So right now there's some conflicts. So we got to work that out and see what happens there. Football practice is underway. 22 athletes registered for that. They have their first game at Clear Creek on Thursday, August 27th. And then volleyball is underway with 17 athletes registered. So a lot of kids staying busy. At the middle school level, boys soccer started practice, 24 kids on the team there. They kick off on Friday, August 28th. Cross country has 15 kids registered. Football has 23, and then swimming and diving practice is also underway with 17 kids registered for that. I will say I also got, good. I can add to Nolan's report, there was an issue with the diving board at the rec center, and they fixed that already. So I was really worried it was going to slow things down, but they were able to get that fixed. And then with volleyball, they actually have 39 athletes out for the volleyball team. So there's a lot of energy when you, as a father of a daughter who was into athletics, that's a lot of energy. So good luck to those coaches. Coming up, we've got, senior banner photos, the fall sports pictures, of course, I mentioned homecoming, the parade. The game is on the 18th, so get ready for that big event. And Nolan and I are also talking about, too, just the importance of getting the uniforms and the equipment returned at the end based on kids don't pay a fee that, refurbishes those jerseys. So we've got to do other creative ways. Got $2 million in the bank. We could buy some sweet jerseys with that. So that's what I've got for the athletic report. Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Were you sweating?
I might have known more about sports than anything else.
Yeah, right. All right, moving on to agenda item 3.4, board reports. Director West,
I have nothing to report.
Director Chuckett,
Attended finance meeting and the master planning executive committee earlier today.
Director Roberts,
Attended the all-staff welcome breakfast and the back-to-school night tonight.
all right. Director Widoski.
I did the same.
Awesome. I attended President's Board Cafe from Casby. It's a sponsored event that will all board presidents across the state can attend once a month. And this week's topic was return to school and what boards are doing to prepare for the upcoming school year. Moving on to agenda item 4, consent agenda. There are 3 items on the consent agenda this evening. For 1, meeting minutes, June 9th, 2026 and June 22nd, 2026. For 2, August personnel list. For 3, EL2, emergency superintendent of school succession. Are there any items a board member would like to pull from the consent agenda for discussion prior to approval of the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion and second to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and second. Chris, please conduct a board roll call.
Director Furry,
Aye.
Director Roberts,
Aye.
Director Shockett,
Aye.
Director Radersky,
Aye.
Director Wiss.
Aye.
Ayes carry the vote. Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to agenda item 5, action items. There are no action items this evening. Moving on to agenda item 6, upcoming meetings. The board's next work session is September 1st, 2026, 3:30 p.m. at the admin building. Moving on to agenda item 7, adjournment. Would a board member make a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Right?
Was I grumpy tonight?
No.